Hello everybody! So, the 4 people that actually watch my videos. So today we're going to be talking about acne prevention and causation. So we're going to be talking about those pretty much all together. So just listen for that. Now, sebum. What is sebum? Sebum is that oily secretion from your face and your back and other things. This is what your body uses to make sure the skin stays hydrated and isn't too frail or doesn't fall apart on you. But sometimes we can overproduce it for a variety of reasons, which can contribute to acne. So what is sebum really? What is it made up of? What's its composition? We know it's like an oily substance secreted from you, but what makes it oily? Well, what makes it oily is oil. It's mainly composed of triglycerides, cholesterols, and free fatty acids. So it also has proteins within it that are antimicrobial and, believe it or not, antioxidants as well. So you think, oh great, well, sebum's great for my skin because it has antioxidants and all these other great things in there. Well, we'll see together how that can actually backfire on you. So, diet and acne. We used to think that there was no correlation between diet and acne. And we also used to think that there was no correlation between diet and heart disease, or diet and diabetes, or anything else for that matter. There used to be, because there was no evidence for it, that means that it doesn't exist. So it's until you've done a study on it, that means there's no world. So the world is completely isolated in the form of studies. So if it's not in a scientific journal, it doesn't exist, which is kind of ridiculous in my opinion. But that's nonetheless what we used to think. We used to think that it was all in our genes. That was the origin of every disease, and you couldn't change it. So why change your diet if you can't change disease? That was the idea. Obviously, we know that is not true for those diseases, and it actually isn't true for diet or for acne as well. So, testosterone. We'll expand on that. But testosterone. So, what happens, our cells actually have the ability to, our skin cells actually have the ability to pick up testosterone, and that causes also the secretion of more sebum. That's the end result of the body trying to divide rapidly in things. The cells need to divide rapidly, and the body needs to also reduce friction in things by secreting sebum. So that's what we do. But the overproduction of sebum obviously has been shown to be a cause of acne. And when your face is really oily, generally you break out more often. So another thing is IGF-1. So IGF-1 has actually been strongly correlated with acne, and that is along with testosterone, that is in milk. So, in a significant amount of it, I'm not talking about, no, it's just in milk. It can actually have a really big impact on your IGF levels. And this is insulin growth factor. This is essentially telling your cells to grow, to proliferate, to regenerate faster, which is a good thing in most instances, but can actually be a bad thing. When our cells turn over too rapidly, that can actually have an impact on our acne as well. When there's more and more developed skin cells, then that turns over and causes the cells shed too fast, and then can clog up the pores. Along with this, also supports the secretion of sebum. So IGF is in milk, and you also have testosterone in milk. Two of, I would argue, the most fundamental reasons why we have acne at all. And that goes for women as well. A lot of times, women who have acne generally have higher testosterone levels, believe it or not. So these are probably the two, besides proper hygiene, the two reasons why you have acne. The second reason you have acne is stress. When your stress levels are elevated, you have a product secreted called you over-secrete sebum as well, and then also you have something else when you're stressed, which is especially when you're chronically stressed. This is something called cortisol, and this is supposed to be used to reduce inflammation, which is like, oh great, reduce inflammation on my skin, that's going to be good. Well, actually, it's not that good because what cortisol does is that it reduces your immune system. So now that actually is going to give rise to more ease of acne to generate on your face. Not to mention the fact that when you're stressed out, you're also over-secreting your sebum. And this ties into another thing I was talking about, is inflammation. So how does inflammation tie in with acne? Well, generally, inflammation is a means of reducing disease and trying to battle it. But as a result of trying to kill it, oftentimes byproducts are secreted, and the cell is damaging virtually everything around it while it's inflamed. It has some target on that particular bacteria, but the battle zone around it is also really toxic, and that's another reason why we're getting these pimples, is because there's so much inflammation that these become battle-ridden zones and are really hard on our skin. So I mean, there's a variety of things that are causing this. One of which is TNF, tumor necrotizing growth factor, or tumor necrotizing factor, but that's a topic for another thing. So, talking about this. Okay, so now the sun. We all know that the sun is supposed to be good for our skin in some levels, and it's great for us. And I think it's definitely true. If we don't get enough sun, I believe that this definitely predispositions us to get acne. However, when we get sunburn, so when we get really blown up on our face and our faces gets all red, this has damaged the skin. This is causes the skin to become more frail, more irritable, more prone to infection. So a little bit of sun could be good, but when you actually damage all the cells around it, then that's going to cause you acne. And some people, when you get all this sun, your pores shrink a little bit, so your acne supposedly looks a little bit better. But the end result is that when you get all the sun in your face, your body responds to that by the oversecretion of sebum. So then you get inflammation and oversecretion of sebum, and then you are making a prime position or place for acne to be to come about. So I would take sun in moderation and don't get sunburnt. You could do suntan lotion, but even that can get stuck in your skin. So for the most part, trying to keep your face, try and keep a hat on, or a big huge hat, or whatever you want to do. But I would try and limit your facial sun exposure. So now, acne and foods in general. So I mentioned that milk has an influence on acne because of the testosterone and the IGF in milk. The testosterone is within fatty milk, so whole milk and things predisposition you to get acne more than low-fat milks, generally speaking, I think. And then I also spoke about IGF-1. So IGF-1 is in milk, but it's also in our bodies all the time. So when we eat a bunch of sugary foods, particularly during snack times and things, because this is when we don't eat a variety of foods. So when we just have that one soda to get that pep in our step, and when we have that really sugary Skittles or what have you, that's going to cause you to react with the secretion of insulin and insulin-like growth factor, which is going to result in all the other things that we talked about before, proliferation and things. Not to mention also that caffeine also causes the oversecretion of sebum as well. So this is actually really exciting evidence here, is that bacteria, so the bacterial composition of your face has a huge influence on whether or not you get acne, or how severe your acne is really. So there's some bacteria on your face that actually compete with the acne and cause it to sort of not be as much, or not be as, all over your face, or whether or not it is there in the first place. So there's some exciting research there, and I'll link that as well. So the bacterial composition of your face has a huge influence. So we might see that soon there's going to be a moisturizing cream that has bacteria in it, and then that bacteria is going to fight and compete, and then you're actually going to help your face that way. So which would be really exciting. So hygiene. This is probably one of the most critical here, but hygiene is how often how much you're taking care of yourself. So I would argue there's a couple steps that you could do to increase your hygiene. So one of which is wash your face basically only like 1 to 2 times a day, but do that at critical moments. I would say, if you just ran around for 6 hours and you're sweating your everything off, that's probably a good time to utilize your 1 to 2 times a day of washing your face. I would say this arguably excludes showers. So when you're going to bed or whatever, shower. So yeah, actually, don't go to bed after you've just ran around and had a bunch of fun or whatever. You're going to and then you have all this sweat on your face. Don't go to bed. That's a huge place. Now you have all this oversecretion of sebum and sweat and things, and now you go lay on your pillow, and that's going to make a great environment for acne to exist. So it's really important before you go to bed to take your shower then. So another thing is actually the pillow in general. You're going to want to make sure that you change your pillow pretty frequently, because over time, when you're sleeping in the same spot and you're, you got some pimples on your face or whatever, those pimples are active and they're doing stuff to the pillow. So you want to make sure that you change that pillow often. That way you're not, sort of re-inoculating or re-putting back the bacteria on your face. So I would say change that every week or so, maybe even more frequently. So that covers hygiene generally. And now the other thing that we're going to want to talk about is acne and working out. And I would argue that acne can actually be reduced by working out. So when you work out, you're sort of leveling your body off. It's a means of sort of bringing everything, you can reduce your cortisol levels with frequent exercise. It's a great stress outlet, and it can be a huge impact on your overall health. So because you're putting yourself back into equilibrium, your hormones are getting balanced, you're going to have a better chance at solving your acne issues. Couple notes about that though: the gym is often a dirty place, so make sure you take a shower after your gym session, because there's people with pimples and everything else, going on the squat rack with their sleeveless on and other issues. So you're going to want to be moderately concerned about going to the gym when you're or coming out of the gym, I should say. So we talked about all these things and how testosterone can lead to acne, or how diet can lead to acne, but we didn't talk about anything good. Can eating good things actually help your acne? Well, yes, in fact, actually. when we eat the proper foods, we actually change the composition of our sebum secretions. So when we eat antioxidants and things, those flow through into our stomach, or those go into our stomach, go into the bloodstream, and then actually come out of our skin. I mean, we do things like as crazy as, you know, pee out of our skin. Believe it or not, we actually have uric acid in our sweat. So we should really consider the fact that what we eat is also coming on our face. Okay, that was awful. But you know what I mean. That what we eat is actually going onto our face and being secreted and either helping or hurting us. So when we take in the proper fruits and vegetables with the proper polyphenol content and the right antioxidants and things, this is going to have a huge influence in helping out the good bacteria on a face and getting rid of the bad, and also helping our own supportive system around us. Is that so we can really have a massive impact on whether or not we're getting acne. So never think that diet and acne are unrelated, and think that, oh, I have acne, therefore there's no reason in changing the way I eat. That's ridiculous. There's a lot of things you can do to change exactly what you eat to not get acne. A lot of foods that you cannot eat, and a lot of foods that you can eat. So just try and consider this the next time you're, you know, walking around and going for a food choice, is that you're having an influence on your acne as well. Actually, there's a couple other things I didn't get to talk about, one of which is sleep. When you don't get the right amount of sleep, again, your cortisol levels are elevated, and you're really running off of more adrenaline secretion than you are any sort of food or proper rest. So you're running hot, basically. You're running inflamed. You're running with a lot of friction. So that's why sleep is really important, is that it sort of resets your body and helps you run more smoothly, and run in, and also it helps your immune system out when you get the right amount of sleep, and that's going to have, again, a huge impact on your face. So sleep is one of the most vital things for you in order to combat acne. So generally, just like anything, actually, sleep, well, other thing, sleep, diet, exercise, and hygiene. Those are the three things that are or four things that are most important to acne. The other thing that we should consider too is that when we're talking about hygiene is things like smoking, and also things like marijuana. Believe it or not, we actually have receptors on our skin that cannabinoid receptors on our skin that respond to cannabis. So when you do things like, oh, I'm gonna hotbox this whole car, man, or, oh man, check out my sweet I don't know what the hell they call those now, gas mask, and let me put all this, you know, smoke all over my face. Well, that's actually causing cells to die, and it's also causing them to clog. So this is one of the reasons why you get acne, is because, you know, you have all this smoke and things on your face, which are killing your skin cells, and which are giving rise to acne. Now, do I recommend you not go around and smoke pot in your car or wherever else? And yes, I do. I know that's not necessarily always what you can do, but, you know, if you wash your face 10 to 15 minutes afterwards, great idea. However, if you're going to smoke right after, that water and things is actually going to attract the smoke and keep it there. So you have to weigh out what you're going to do for that day, and how often you're going to do it. So generally, I would say, if you're going to smoke, only do it once a day. Oh, that's really hard. Hopefully it's not. So that's basically what I think are the most connective factors to acne. I have a couple studies that will show this. Hopefully you'll take a look at it. I have the primary study will be the first one listed, with other respective studies underneath. There's also some sort of website-like references as well to sort of gauge your understanding and help, you know, help for the easy or the people who have a difficult time reading scientific articles, I should say. So sort of like easy reading for people. But yeah, this has been me talking about acne for however long, probably like 15 minutes because I always go over with these things. But I hope you subscribe, like my video, and hope you have a clear face. Mind you, I don't have a clear face because I consume a lot of dairy products. That's because as someone who's concerned about necessarily how strong they get in things, I want things like IGF in my system. I also want things like testosterone in my system. And I'm trying to weigh those two out together to try and benefit my muscles the most, while also, not getting acne. And so I'm eating right and doing everything else for the most part, but I'm also eating some of the bad foods, or some dairy products mainly, and that's what's probably and I'm also not sleeping that much. So those are two things that I'm probably doing wrong that are giving me acne. Also, I could change my pillow. But, so, there's knowing what's right and also doing what's right. And so, hopefully, I've given you everything that you can do to do it right, and hopefully you're more successful at doing it than me. So, again, subscribe, like my videos, and have a great day.